cleared the tower. Every 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
Guys, if you're in the live stream already, just give me a minute or two here, just to share the link. This situation with Joe Kent has me really bent out of shape. And yeah. Probably gonna go, the stream might go a little sideways. Got some very uneducated cult followers on the Republican side of the aisle calling this man a traitor to the country and all sorts of bullshit that is not true. So I'm gonna set the record straight on who Joe Kent is, what he did for our country, the sacrifice that he gave up, the loss that he endured, his service record, we'll talk about all of it, and we'll talk about why it matters. Because Joe Kent is honestly more qualified to be the Secretary of War than half-drunk Pete Hegseth. These people in the MAGA cult are bad-mouthing him, calling him a traitor, accusing him of leaking to the press, all this bullshit. I swear, man, some of these people that are in this MAGA cult would literally let Donald Trump take a dump in their mouth and say it tasted like caviar. I don't know what happened to the movement that I thought I was a part of, but whatever this is, I want nothing to do with whatever this is. Any political movement that Larry Loomer is a part of, or Jigsaw
Turns out
Loomer,
the government tracks a lot of data.
want nothing
It's
to do.
scattered all over the place. Data on
anybody that's out here shilling for sending our troops over to Iran to die for Israel. Yeah, I want no part of it. And it's an absolute disgrace. What people are saying about this guy. He gave real sacrifice to defend our country. Give me another minute or two here. I got a couple more groups to post the link up to, because YouTube is shadow banning the channel, so I gotta share the link. I won't get anybody in here. So hang out for a minute. Like the stream, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, let me know where you're from, let me know what you think about what's going on. We'll talk about it. I'll put your comments up on the screen, we'll talk about all of it. I wasn't even going to do a stream tonight, but this situation with Joe Kent and some of the shit that people are saying about him is like, I mean, did you have the balls to put on a uniform and serve our country? You know, all of these people that are criticizing Joe, did you guys serve? Because you know who's not criticizing Joe Kent? All the veterans. Any of the veterans that are on YouTube, any of the guys on the SEAL teams, the Special Forces, all these guys have came out in support of what Joe Kent did. And those are guys that were willing to give the ultimate sacrifice for our country. So if they vouch for him, that's enough for me. That's all I need. I don't care that he's friends with Tucker Carlson. I don't care that he was in the CIA. None of that shit matters. What matters to me is the fact that he is standing on principle. He's standing up for what he believes. He's standing up for what's right. He doesn't want to see more Americans die in a foreign war. Needlessly, like his wife was. Yeah, in case you didn't know, Joe Kent's wife was the first female killed in action in Syria by a suicide bomber. I think Joe Kent is probably one of the most qualified people in the administration to even speak on the conflict in the Middle East. And he stepped down, and Trump says he's not He wasn't big on security. Well, you didn't say that when you appointed him, Trump, did you? Because he's your direct appointee. You didn't have an issue with him then, right? What happened to this movement, man? What happened? What happened to MAGA? Like, what happened? What happened to you guys? This is not what MAGA was. Not what it was, not what it was intended to be. I'm ashamed I ever called myself part of this group. Granted, I wouldn't have voted for, obviously wouldn't have voted for Kamala. You know? Given the two options, obviously I'm voting for Trump. But what the fuck, man? Like, what happened? I could see the administration, you know, I could see the administration, you know, maybe they have stuff hanging over their heads, maybe they got bought, maybe they got paid off. But what I can understand is the people that voted for Trump that are going along with it. Like, have you guys lost your minds? Are you as brainwashed as the left is? Because that's the way it seems right now. It's pretty sad. It's pretty sad, man. Alright. Let me shut this off. StreamYard. I don't care. I don't care how many people are in here. I don't care if there's 2, 10. I don't give a shit. I'm pissed. I'm going in right now. I'm in rare form right now. Hi guys. Welcome to the channel. My name is Ricky. I'm your host. This is America First. Free the Republic. Fuck the Republicans. Fuck the rest. FTR can stand for a lot of things. Right now I'm thinking fuck the Republicans it's pretty good. So yeah. Joe Kent. Let's talk about Joe Kent. Joe Kent stepped down today. And Joe Kent was the director of counterterrorism for the United States. And Joe Kent resigned. And he wrote a pretty scathing letter on his way out. And I'm going to pull that letter up for you so we could read this letter that Joe Kent wrote together. And after we read the letter that Joe Kent wrote, we're going to go into Joe Kent's military career, and talk about why Joe Kent matters. Because Joe Kent is more qualified to be the Secretary of War than Pete Hegseth could ever be. And the administration probably lost one of their most qualified cabinet members today. And Trump's acting like it's no big deal, but it is a big deal. Because Joe Kent has the support of every veteran that I've seen. I have not seen a single veteran not support the actions that Joe Kent took today. Not one. And that's enough for me. So, let's add this to the stage. Okay. President Trump. After much reflection, I have decided to resign from my position as director of the National Counterterrorism Center effective today. I cannot, in good conscience, support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran poses no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. I support the values and the foreign policies that you campaigned on in 2016, 2020, and 2024, which you enacted in your first term. Until June of 2025, you understood that wars in the Middle East were a trap that robbed Americans of their precious lives, robbed America of the precious lives of our patriots, and depleted the wealth and prosperity of our nation. In your first administration, you understood better than any modern president how to decisively apply military power without getting us drawn into never-ending wars. You demonstrated this by killing Qasem Soleimani and by defeating ISIS. Early in this administration, high-ranking Israeli officials and influential members of the American media deployed a misinformation campaign that wholly undermined your America First platform and sowed pro-war sentiments to encourage war with Iran. The echo chamber was used to deceive you into believing that Iran posed an imminent threat to the United States and that you should strike now. There was a clear path to a swift victory. This was a lie, and is the same tactic the Israelis used to draw us into the disastrous Iraq war that cost our nation the lives of thousands of our best men and women. We cannot make this mistake again. As a veteran who deployed to combat 11 times, and as a Gold Star husband who lost my beloved wife Shannon in a war manufactured by Israel, I cannot support sending the next generation off to fight and die in a war that serves no benefit to the American people, nor justifies the cost of American lives. I pray that you will reflect upon what we are doing in Iran and who we are doing it for. The time for bold action is now. You can reverse course and chart a new path for our nation, or you can allow us to slip further toward decline and chaos. You hold the cards. It was an honor to serve in your administration and to serve our great nation. Joe Kent, Director, National Counterterrorism Center. It makes me so angry to have to read that letter. And what makes me even angrier are the MAGA cultists that would let Trump piss in their mouth and say it tasted like champagne, that are all over the internet talking shit about this man, the sacrifices that he gave for this country, and how he never should have been in the administration in the first place. Well, news to anybody that isn't aware, he was a direct appointee of Donald Trump. So if he didn't belong in the administration in the first place, Donald Trump never should have put him there. I'm going to pull up Facebook real quick. And we'll go to some of the comments that people are making about him. Why can't I share this? Okay. Present. Share screen. Share. Okay. American Loving Patriots. This is a group of good riddance. Joe Kent has resigned after months of leaking classified information and undermining the Trump administration. Traitor. His wife Heather Kaiser works for a far leftist Trump hater and has been posting Islamic propaganda. My response. Joe Kent is a Green Beret whose wife was killed in a CIA operation. It was his investigation into foreign involvement with the Charlie Kirk assassination that was shut down by Kash Patel. I wonder why it was shut down. Every vet has issued their support for him. You won't find me one that hasn't. You MAGA cultists are literally just as bad as the liberals with how bad you are brainwashed. It's no wonder why the left calls people on the right's idiots. It's uneducated people like this that make the right look bad. Joe Kent is a hero. Screw MAGA. America first. Holy Mother of God. A real life, batshit crazy AJ wannabe. Are you a groiper too, or just a guy whose wife has your balls in her pocketbook? Since Iran has been involved in terrorism for 50 years, how much more intel does someone need? And isn't the war in Iran actually counterterrorism? That was in the guy's position. What the fuck? Well, how much of that terrorism is happening on American soil? Because as far as I can see, it's happening to Israel. It's not happening here. Which means it really wouldn't be a concern of mine if it wasn't happening here, right? Because I'm worried about what's happening here. I'm not worried about what's happening in Israel. I'm worried about what's happening to the American people. I'm a real life bottom feeder and probably an incel. Got it. Got it. These people are uneducated, brainwashed, and the propaganda has gotten such a hold on people that they are completely incapable of thinking for themselves. And it is a fucking shame to watch our country fall apart around us, send our boys and girls off to die in a war that we should have absolutely nothing to do with. And you have these MAGA cultists, because that's what it is now. It's a fucking cult. You have them cheering it on. Like he is this, like Donald Trump is the second coming of Jesus. So, let's talk about Joe Kent's military career. Here's a clean chronological timeline of Joe Kent covering his career, deployments, intelligence work, accommodations, plus the key event involving his wife, Shannon Kent. 1998, early 2000. Enlistment and Ranger years. 1998, enlists in the Army. Joins the 75th Ranger Regiment. Early career focused on direct action raids, airborne operations, early global war on terror missions. This period builds his foundation in elite light infantry combat. 2001 to mid-2000s, post 9/11 combat deployments. Deploys repeatedly after 9/11. Participates in the war in Iraq, including Fallujah-era operations. And if any of you know anything about the war in Iraq, and know what it was like in Fallujah, you would know that it was pretty close to being hell on earth. And if you don't know about Fallujah, I would look up I want to say it's by the Black Rifle Coffee Company. War Pigs, block to block in Fallujah. The Untold Story of Charlie Company, First LAR. It's about an hour and 45 minutes. And it will change how you view sending our sons, daughters, and friends off to die in these Middle East hellholes. You will never look at it the same. I promise. Participates in Iraq War, including Fallujah operations, counterterrorism missions, begins accumulating his first Bronze Star Medal, combat experience that leads to selection for Sinu Ops. This is where his career shifts towards high-intensity repeat deployments. Mid-2000s to 2010s. Special Forces, Green Beret. Becomes a U.S. Army Special Forces soldier, Green Beret. Missions include unconventional warfare, training partner forces, counterinsurgency. Deployments. Multiple deployment rotations to Iraq, Afghanistan, and other classified locations. At this stage in his career, he's operating in small, highly specialized teams. 2010s. Intelligence support activity. Moves into intelligence support activity, which is ISA, one of the most secretive U.S. military units. Roles. Intelligence collections, signal intelligence, direct support to Tier 1 units like Delta Force, etc. Deployment. Continues frequent overseas deployments. Total career 11 combat deployments. This phase is Tier 1 level operations and intelligence fusion. Commendations. 6 Bronze Stars medals. Additional awards not fully public due to classification of service. Likely for his career level, though not fully public, Joint Service Commendations, Army Commendation Medals, Campaign Medals for Iraq and Afghanistan. 6 Bronze Stars, exceptionally high operational tempo and repeated combat performance. 2018, retirement from Army, retires after 20 years. 20 years of service. 20 years that man fought for our country. Final rank, Chief Warrant Officer. 2018 to 2020, CIA paramilitary service. Joins CIA Special Activity Center. Role, paramilitary officer. Conducts covert operations, intelligence missions in denied areas. Details here are classified, but this is essentially special operations without the uniform. Turning point in his life. January 16th, 2019. Shannon Kent, Joe Kent's wife, is killed. ISIS suicide bombing in Syria. She was a Navy senior chief, signals intelligence specialist, attached to special operations on her 5th combat deployment, leaving behind 2 children. Post-2019, transition to public life. Leaves CIA, becomes a public speaker, political candidate. frequently ties national security views with his wife's death and U.S. foreign policy. That man is 100% more qualified to be the Secretary of War than Pete Hegseth, who served in a National Guard troop with like 1 or 2 rotations to Afghanistan and saw no combat. But Joe Kent is the person that the MAGA cultists are calling a traitor and didn't deserve to be in the administration and wasn't cut out for the job. That man served 20 years between the Rangers, Special Forces, and the CIA. That man went into places that he still has nightmares about. And while all these politicians are concerned about how they're gonna make money and enrich themselves, their family, and their friends, there's people like Joe who saw war, real war, knows what it's like, and doesn't want our men and women to die for another country's war. And if you don't think that Syria was a war manufactured by Israel, maybe you should educate yourself on the Greater Israel Project. Remember that interview with Mike Huckabee and Tucker Carlson, where Tucker asked him, the Bible says they're entitled to the land from the Nile to the Euphrates, and Huckabee says it would be fine if they took it all. They just don't want to right now. Well, guess what? Where do you think Syria is? Oh, that's right. Syria is part of the Greater Israel Project. So if you don't think the civil war in Syria had anything to do with our greatest ally, you should probably educate yourself on the Syrian civil war. I don't know what it's going to take for I don't know what it's going to take for people to wake up and realize that none of this is in our country's best interest. Nothing that's going on over there is benefiting your life, my life, the lives of any Americans. The only people it's benefiting are people that are part of real estate deals, Trump Gaza, building resorts over the bodies of dead women and children. Joe Kent made a statement and is standing on the values and principles that Trump ran on, which was no more foreign wars. No more sending our children, our friends, our family to die in the Middle East. That it's a waste of money. It's a waste of resources. And most importantly, it's a waste of lives. And Joe Kent paid that price. Because his wife was killed in Syria by a suicide bomber. So I think Joe would know if Iran was a threat to the United States, or if they were just a threat to our greatest ally and the plans that they have. But these people calling Joe Kent a traitor, there's something wrong with you people. The people that are bad-mouthing Joe Kent, saying he never should have been part of the administration, he wasn't cut out for the job. He was personally appointed by Donald Trump. It was Joe Kent that got into it with Kash Patel about looking into foreign interference in the Charlie Kirk assassination. Why do you think that is? Why do you think they stopped him from snooping around? You think it was because there was foreign interference that they didn't want Joe to find out about? Or you think maybe it's because the FBI's covering it up and we did it? At this point, both of them seem plausible. I wouldn't put anything past this administration at this point. People say he ruined his career. I don't think he ruined his career. I think Joe, by retiring and resigning and standing on principle, can now say what he really believes and say what he really thinks. Where's Tulsi Gabbard at? She's been real quiet. She was all in on Trump because Trump's anti-war, right? Hold on. Let's go to Valhalla's page real quick, cuz he put a interesting video out about Joe Kent, because Valhalla served with Joe Kent. Joe Kent was in Valhalla's unit. So, how about we watch Valhalla's video about Joe Kent and see what somebody who actually served with him has to say. Let's do that.
Every business on earth gets customers the same way, through a simple 3-step process. And now AI.
7 posts about Joe Kent.
Have you ever seen people flipping houses and say, man, I wish I could make money like them? They've got dumpsters there. They've got contractors going in.
Green Beret, TFO, CIA paramilitary is weak. That coming from Diaper Dawn, Captain Bone Spurs. Not only have you never served, but literally no one in your family going all the way back to your grandparents has ever served. You're going to call him weak? Wow. Okay. Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and we have absolutely insane breaking news for you this morning as fellow Green Beret and director of the National Counterterrorism Center, Joe Kent, has just officially resigned from his position in protest to the Iran war, leaving an absolutely scathing and brutal rebuke of Donald Trump as his reason. And if you don't know who Joe Kent is, he's not just the director of the National Counterterrorism Center. He was also a Ranger, Green Beret, Task Force Orange, CIA, did 11 combat tours. So what does that mean? He knows far more about this war than you and me, everyone on Twitter, and the entire Trump administration. And what was his final conclusion? That Iran poses no threat to the United States and Israel forced us into this war.
How about that? Iran poses no imminent threat to the United States, and our greatest ally forced us into this war. Go figure.
What other Green Beret's been telling you that? So that's what we're going to talk about in this video today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Helps the channel. Follow us on Patreon. Grab some merch. Let's talk about it. First, of course, we're going to see his actual resignation letter out of his own mouth and see what Joe Kent had to say about this. Now, it's no secret that anybody with an above room temperature IQ that doesn't solely watch Fox News already knows this war has been an absolute abject disaster for the United States. But let's see what the director of the National Counterterrorism Center had to say about it. All right, so first we'll take a look at Joe's post, and then we'll see his actual official letter. Okay, so Joe says, after much reflection, I've decided to resign from my position of Director of National Counterterrorism Center effective today. I cannot, in good conscience, support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we have started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. It's been an honor serving under the POTUS, and DNI Gabbard, yes, Tulsi Gabbard, we're going to talk about you in this video as well, and leading the professionals at the National Counterterrorism Center. May God bless America. Okay, let's really drive this into everyone's heads. Joe Kent worked for both Task Force Orange and the CIA. These are the highest level intelligence apparatuses in the world. He knows more about this conflict and the reasons for it than probably anybody in the government. And his official conclusion, summed up very quickly, is Iran poses no threat to the United States, and Israel and its powerful American lobbies are responsible for this. Okay, put a nail in the coffin of MAGA and seal it shut. But let's look at his actual letter. All right, so this is Joe's actual resignation letter directed straight to President Trump. First two paragraphs we already read. He then says, I support the values and foreign policies that you campaigned on in 2016, 2020, 2024, which you enacted in your first term. Until June of 2025, you understood the wars in the Middle East were a trap that robbed America of its precious lives of our patriots and depleted the wealth and prosperity of our nation. And we've all seen the thousands of clips of Donald Trump saying exactly that on the campaign trail. And he continues, in your first administration, you understood better than any modern president how to decisively apply military power without getting us drawn into never-ending wars. You demonstrated this by killing Soleimani and defeating ISIS. And I can tell you, as someone who deployed to combat under the first Trump term myself, what he's saying is true. He was actually a very good commander-in-chief at the time. He made a lot of incredible changes to the rules of engagement that kept us safe. And all of that obviously is completely 180'd at this point. Now, this is incredibly important for everyone to pay attention to. Early in this administration, high-ranking Israeli officials and influential members of the American media deployed a misinformation campaign that wholly undermined your America First platform and sowed pro-war sentiments to encourage a war with Iran. This echo chamber was used to deceive you into believing that Iran posed an imminent threat to the United States and that you should strike now. There was a clear path to swift victory. This was a lie, and it is the same tactic the Israelis used to draw us into disastrous Iraq war that cost our nation the lives of thousands of our best men and women. We cannot make this mistake again. Who has just been telling you that over and over and over on this channel? Right? just parroting the words right out of my mouth for the last 6 months. And here's maybe the biggest one as we go forward and see Donald Trump's disgusting, pathetic response to this. As a veteran who deployed to combat 11 times and a Gold Star husband who lost my beloved wife Shannon in a war manufactured by Israel, I cannot support sending the next generation off to fight and die in a war that serves no benefit to the American people nor justifies the cost of American lives. I pray that you will reflect upon what you are doing in Iran and who we are doing it for. The time for bold action is now. You can reverse course and chart a new path for our nation, or you can allow us to slip further and towards decline and chaos. You hold the cards. This is where I'm going to disagree with Joe. I don't think Donald Trump has any backout plan, and I'm going to do an entire video on that later. It was an honor to serve in your administration to our great nation. Joe Kent. Whew. Okay, so again, the most informed person probably in America when it comes to this specific conflict has said this is not a war for the United States. It's a war for our greatest ally. Period. Full stop. The discussion's over. Now, Donald Trump responded right away, and I'm sure he gave a 11-tour combat veteran, Ranger, Green Beret, TFO, CIA, Gold Star husband the respect he deserves, even though he's resigned.
Build apps that scale. Meet Base 44.
Right. Oh, first thing he said was Trump shrugs off National Counterterrorism Center Director's resignation. Good thing he's out. Okay. But then things got even worse.
Mr. President, your Director of National Counterterrorism, Joe Kent, he just resigned today. He said he can't support your conflict with Iran. What's your reaction to that? And did you?
Well, I read his statement. I always thought he was a nice guy, but I always thought he was weak on security, very weak.
Weak on security. Trump personally appointed him to the Director of Counterterrorism. But he's weak on security? Well, gee, Don, you surely didn't think that when you appointed him, did you?
On security. I didn't know him well, but I thought he seemed like a pretty nice guy. But when I read his statement, I realized that it's a good thing that he's out, because he said that Iran was not a threat. Iran was a threat. Every country realized what a threat Iran was. The question is whether or not they wanted to do something about it.
Again, 11 combat tour, Ranger, Green Beret, TFO, CIA paramilitary is weak. That coming from Diaper Dawn, Captain Bone Spurs. Not only have you never served, but literally no one in your family going all the way back to your grandparents has ever served. You're going to call him weak? Wow. Okay. But this is the floodgates opening, and you are going to see the rats start jumping off the MAGA ship in a hurry. And who has to be the first one to follow suit, or her political career is forever destroyed. Her credibility will be gone in perpetuity. Yep. And that is Tulsi Gabbard, who Joe Kent worked directly with. And that's because Tulsi Gabbard, for nearly 15 years now, has run all of her political campaigns specifically on being anti-war in the Middle East. And she, again, has been eerily silent since this happened. Now, we know she was the one sole no vote in the administration when this war kicked off. She must resign, or she will have no credibility or respect ever again. I mean, let's look at some old clips.
Here is the choice that we have. A vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for Dick Cheney, and it's a vote for war, more war, likely World War III and nuclear war.
Yep. How about that?
A vote for Donald Trump is a vote for a man who wants to end wars, not start them.
Ouch.
And who has demonstrated already that he has the courage and strength to stand up and fight for peace.
Tulsi, what are you doing? This is your watershed moment. This moment will define the rest of your political career and really the rest of your life. I hope you make.
What Tulsi's doing is hiding in a closet somewhere with a muzzle on, because she has been completely neutered by this administration, because they can't have her out there speaking out against the war. So she's gonna stay quiet. Why? I don't know. I guess she doesn't want Donald Trump as an enemy. And let me tell you something. Donald Trump's career is going to be over after the midterms because the right's getting swept. We're getting swept. The Democrats are going to mop the floor with us on the right. And we deserve it. We deserve it because we allowed ourselves to be gaslit and manipulated, and we trusted Donald Trump. And that's coming from somebody that voted for him 3 times, gave up multiple friendships defending him, and had to hide the fact that I was a Trump supporter. Remember those days when we had to hide the fact that we were Trump supporters? We couldn't let anybody know that we supported Trump. The silent majority. You guys remember those days? I do. And look where it's gotten us. Look where the sacrifice of everybody that supported Donald Trump. Look where it's gotten us. Absolutely nowhere. Our deportations are lower than Obama. Inflation is high. This is the first time in American history that native-born Americans are getting outpaced by immigrants for new jobs. The affordability crisis is apparently a Democrat hoax. The solution to the housing market is 50-year mortgages. We haven't onboarded any manufacturing jobs. We haven't shored up any of our supply lines. We have alienated all of the Gulf countries. All of the real allies we have realize that our word means nothing. So we are a laughingstock on the world stage. And has the life of the average American gotten better anywhere? No, right? The farmers are in the Midwest are all going bankrupt because the tariffs are making it impossible for them to make money. So what exactly is this administration doing to make the lives of the average American better? Are we still at owning the libs? Is that what we're aiming for? Is that our benchmark, that we're owning the libs? Because the libs are about to own us in the midterms. There's no stopping it. This is the most unpopular war in American history. And the only way to garner support for a war like that, well, you need some kind of attack on the homeland. So, something's going to happen here. Because you need the American public to get behind the war. Or the Republicans have no chance of winning anything for years. You think J.D. Vance has a chance of getting elected president? Not after this. And you notice how quiet JD's been about the war in Iran, right? Haven't heard too much coming out of JD, huh? Where's he been? Why's he been so quiet? Oh, that's right, because he doesn't agree with the war. Yet he's somebody else that does not have the balls to speak out against it. Let's go back to Valhalla's video. Keep watching it.
Make the right choice. And it's not just Joe Kent. You know who else doesn't support this war? The entire world. Did you guys see this? We have been begging our NATO allies, threatening our NATO allies that they are required to come join this war now. And Donald Trump himself said today, the United States has been informed by most of our NATO allies that they don't want to get involved with our military operation against the terrorist regime of Iran. Yes, we have been told by all of our allies, pound sand, we're not interested in helping you. Really great foreign policy work by this commander-in-chief, huh? But there are a lot of people who are actually glad that Joe is out. And who are those people? Oh, actual MAGA, the actual party of MAGA. And here they are. For everybody who doesn't know who they are, yes, there they are, the party of MAGA, everybody. And as Trump calls Joe Kent weak, he also says this about Mark Levine yesterday. Yes, Mark Levine, a truly great American patriot, is somewhat under siege by other people with far less intellect, capability, and love for our country. Mark is tough, strong, and brilliant, hence the nickname, the Great One, conceived by our MAGA friend, the wonderful Sean Hannity. There it is, MAGA. There's your party. You proud? Again, the only good news is we are going to see more and more and more of this as we go. And I figured, I've been saying forever, and obviously MAGA's dead, and that we're going to see a massive exodus of rats jumping off the ship of the Trump administration coming. I figured it would be after the midterms, after Democrats absolutely landslide in 2026 and take both the House and the Senate. That's when I figured you'd start seeing the exodus because Trump will become a massive political liability. But I guess the writing's already on the wall, and this dumb fucking war in Iran expedited the process. Who else is all over the place on this thing? Absolutely crashing out on Twitter with 87 posts about Joe Kent in the last hour. And that is, yes, Lord Jigsaw Loomer.
The nightmare-looking Coomer.
Bah! Jump scare. Yeah, I know. That was probably pretty mean. Anyway, yeah, let's take a look at some of her posts. Ah, yes, old Scary Larry, the paid foreign agent. What did she have to say? Oh, my God. Well, a lot. Look at this. 3 minutes ago, she hasn't stopped. Two things can be true at once. It's true that Joe Kent served our country and made a massive sacrifice. It's also true that Joe Kent is a serial leaker and narcissist who's obsessed with blaming Jays and Israel for everything. Told you all the same thing months ago. In fact, I told you all this year if you've been following my reports on disaster and my reports on Joe Kent. Joe Kent. Joe Kent. How many hours before Joe Kent and Tucker Carlson get on a podcast? Joe Kent, Joe Kent, Joe Kent. Absolute fucking lunatic. Yes, Scary Larry Jigsaw Loomer, who's never served, attacking Joe Kent. Oh, bizarro world, isn't it? So there's going to be good news here, and unfortunately also bad news. The good news being that, of course, fellow Green Beret Joe Kent made the decision to show honor and integrity, stand up on business, and tell it like it is. That, yes, this war is f***ing dumb, and we started it on behalf of a foreign country. The bad news is we've now lost probably about the only capable and knowledgeable person in the entire Trump administration from an incredibly important position as director of the National Counterterrorism Center. And who is going to be the replacement for him? You already know it's going to be some dipshit, worthless, unqualified Trump loyalist, probably someone like Scary Larry Loomer or Mark Levine. And God f***ing help our country when that happens. So that's going to do it for this video. We will be looking and monitoring Tulsi Gabbard's Twitter, waiting for her resignation as well. And then we will be back live at 5 p.m. Pacific time. We'll talk a little bit more about this then. All right. Catch you on the next video.
This Black Friday, millions of
So yeah, Joe Kent resigning is a big deal, and all of these MAGA cultists that are completely disrespecting this man's service, sacrifice, 20 years of devotion to serving our nation, 11 combat deployments, 6 Bronze Stars, a Gold Star for losing his wife in a suicide bombing in Syria. A war that was funded by Israel to help with the Greater Israel Project that Mike Huckabee openly spoke about in his interview with Tucker. We are going down the wrong road, and quickly. And things are escalating quickly. And I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take for people to realize. Like, I could tell you for me that like once I stopped watching the mainstream news and started watching independent creators and independent reporters and people that weren't towing party lines and just presenting facts the way that they are, regardless of what it does to the narrative that they're trying to spin. That's when I realized that I was just being brainwashed. And that's all that's happening, is on the left, on the right. All it is propaganda and people being brainwashed. And they know how to play to people's emotions and to use them against one another and to pit us against each other, so we don't all start looking at what the real problem is. And the first problem that we need to address is the fact that we are no longer sovereign as a nation. Our nation no longer has sovereignty. Both sides of the aisle have been completely penetrated by foreign lobbies, foreign money, special interests, and none of these politicians have the interests of you or me or any other American on their agenda. The only thing they're concerned about is how are they going to keep themselves in office to keep enriching themselves. We need term limits for these members of Congress. We need to register AIPAC under FARA. We really need to get foreign money out of our politics in general. We need to get corporate lobbyists out of our politics in general. I don't care about the best interests of Google or Amazon. I care about the best interests of my neighbors, my family, my friends. How we're going to continue to put food on the table and pay our rent and pay our bills when we're all breaking our backs and working ourselves to the bone and have nothing to show for it because the money goes out as quick as the money comes in. We're taxed on everything 1,000 times over. And we have nothing to show for it. And I don't care what anybody says. The only thing this administration has done correctly is seal the border. Everything else they've done, they have screwed up or turned it into a PR nightmare. And coming into this election, Trump had one of the most diverse political coalitions ever assembled. Remember, we were talking about how it was a big tent. It was a big tent. And look where that got us. The Republican Party is completely fractured. And if you don't realize that, you're in denial. You have the MAGA crowd, the MAGA crowd, and the America First crowd. And at this point, I don't know what's worse. Having the Republican Party split in 3 different ways, or the Democrat Party having no leadership. I don't know which one's better. But if we don't correct course and correct course quickly, our children, our grandchildren, and even us are going to suffer and pay the consequences for this for years. Guys, like, subscribe, drop a comment, share the channel. I was in rare form tonight. These people that were talking about Joe Kent really got me twisted. Because 20 years of service fighting for our country. He deserved more respect than that. That's it. I'm getting off. Like, subscribe, share, comment. Help me get this message out. I appreciate you guys that support the channel. And America first. Free the Republic. I think Valhalla said it best. It's time to put the nail in the coffin of MAGA. And all these cultists better wake up. Because got a real rude awakening coming when we get swept in the midterms. And when Texas goes blue. Something that was people said would never happen. Watch it happen. Watch it happen. And then see how long it takes for the Republicans to win another election after we lose Texas. Because if we lose Texas, it's over. And it's coming. Unless this administration changes course drastically and very quickly. We're going to lose Texas. We're going to lose the midterms. Trump's probably going to get impeached. And then who knows what it looks like from there on out. I don't even want to know what it looks like from there on out. But I can say that this administration has been one of the biggest disappointments in modern political history. I don't know what happened to Trump. I don't know if he got threatened, if he got blackmailed, if he's in the files. I don't know. But what I do know is the needs of the Americans here at home are not getting put first. Sending 5,000 Marines over to the Strait of Hormuz is not putting America first. It's putting our greatest ally first. And nobody supports that. If there's one thing that the right and the left agree on, it's not supporting them. And not supporting this war. Guys, like, share, subscribe. I'm Ricky. This is America First. F the Republicans. Free the Republic. F the rest. Whatever you want it to stand for, I don't care. Whatever it means to you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for letting me rant. And have a good night.